Tengu newspaper. One day, a small child walking home stumbled across a piece of paper stuck to a telephone pole. It looked interesting, so the child tore it off and took it home. The paper claimed that one of the elderly men who lived in the neighborhood would die the following day. Yet, the following day came and passed, and the old man was still alive. The paper the child tore off was the Tengu newspaper, a paper meant for other Tengu and Shinigami, gods of death. They used this newspaper to inform each other of humans who were to die in the upcoming days. Because the child had torn the paper off, no Tengu or Shinigami were able to see it, and so the old man lived. If this legend sounds familiar, you're not alone. It's extremely similar to the plot behind the manga Kyofu Shimbun, Terror Newspaper, where a young woman starts receiving newspapers detailing horrific accidents that are going to happen the following day. The small difference here is that these newspapers aren't intended for humans. They're meant for Tengu and Shinigami, a kind of message system to let each other know of upcoming deaths and who they should target. Predicting who and when someone will die is a common theme for many urban legends, and the Tengu newspaper is, like many modern legends, believed to have come from Ni-channel. Although it was undoubtedly inspired by Kyofu Shimbun, the first real traces of the Tengu newspaper can be found on a Ni-channel thread posted on February 2001, titled "Childhood Memories That Scare You When You Look Back on Them." In the thread, a poster shared a story from their childhood about an old man they once saw staring at a telephone pole. They didn't see this old man every day, but they saw them often enough that it was unnerving. When they finally worked up enough courage to ask what the man was doing, he replied, "I'm watching the spot where someone is going to die." This was immediately followed by a reply stating, "That person was probably waiting for the Tengu newspaper." The original poster had no idea what a Tengu newspaper was, so the replier explained, "I only vaguely remember, but the Tengu newspaper is a newspaper that has information on who is going to die in the upcoming days. It's put up by Tengu for other Tengu to read. The story I read was about a kid who found a Tengu newspaper on a telephone pole, so he ripped it off and took it home. It said an old guy from the neighborhood was gonna die the next day. But because the kid ripped the newspaper off, the old guy didn't die. It was something like that, I think. Apparently, the kid didn't know what the thing was, so he asked his grandfather, and he told him, 'That's a Tengu newspaper.' So I guess it's well known amongst the elderly, maybe." There's not much else known about the Tengu newspaper, but all evidence points to it being born out of this Ni-channel thread. It occasionally pops up in conversation, even now, and has become part of the long and storied lore of Ni-channel's occult boards. The photocopier that shows your face of death. There are rumours of a photocopier in a certain convenience store. When you copy a photo of your own face, it will print out a version that shows your face just before your time of death. One day, a young man heard about the rumours, and, checking to see that no one was around, copied a picture of his own face. When the picture came out, there was nothing different. It was exactly the same. So it was all just a lie then. He left the store laughing, and was hit by an out-of-control car. The young man died instantly. The photocopier really did show his face, right before the moment of his death. This is a pretty famous joke urban legend. You'll find a lot of stories in Japanese horror that revolve around taking or showing a photo of someone's face just before their moment of death. This is called shinigao, which literally means death face, or the face of a dead person. A quick search on Google will pull up thousands of results for scary stories revolving around shinigao, so It's not surprising there would be an urban legend or two as well. This particular legend is said to have reached the public consciousness in a comic released in June 2011 called Gya Kaidan and Toshi Densetsu, a collection of horror and urban legends. The author is credited as Oratian from Tokushima Prefecture. The original was a little longer and more detailed, however. It was as follows. Way out in the middle of nowhere, in a town so small it didn't even have a single chain store, an old liquor shop was remodeled into a tiny convenience store. Inside that convenience store was an old, run-down, black and white photocopier. An old photocopier that had a weird rumour surrounding it. If you copied a photo of your own face, it would print out a photo showing your face at the moment of your death. However, being that the rumours of the photocopier were related to one's death, no one was brave enough to try it out. But then one person, my friend H, said, "That story is full of crap. I'll show you," and set out to try it by himself. He took a photo from home and went straight to the photocopier. Gong, gong, gong. The machine rattled out as it printed out the copy, and then it came out. He was perhaps expecting to see himself looking old or in pain at the moment of his death, but it wasn't like that at all. It was exactly the same as the photo he put in to copy. It was H's face. "I knew it was all a lie," H said, and as he went to step away from the photocopier, a car ploughed into the convenience store. The shop was destroyed, and H died instantly. His expression after he died showed neither fear nor tears. It happened so fast that he looked exactly like he always did. When I heard about this at his funeral, I asked them to show me the photo. The photocopier really did show his face, right at the moment of his death. Exclamation point road sign. Have you ever seen a yellow road sign with a black exclamation point on it before? According to the road traffic law, if you see one of these signs, it signifies other dangers. Underneath the exclamation point, the sign should list what danger it is. For example, weak gravel by the side of the road, a sudden steep incline, and so on. In order to understand what the particular danger is, you must read what is written underneath the exclamation point. However, there are some signs that don't include this information. They only have an exclamation point and nothing else. In reality, these signs are placed where ghosts have been seen, and so they serve as a warning to all that ghosts are nearby. The Ministry of Transport is unable to officially acknowledge the presence of ghosts and the danger they pose to the public. So, they place exclamation point signs in dangerous areas to let the public know. Signs featuring exclamation marks are used all over the world and generally mean other dangers, like they do in this legend. The other danger is usually specified in text underneath the sign, but sometimes in Japan you might come across a sign that is just an exclamation point and nothing else, or otherwise just says warning beneath it. In that case, what is the danger? If you believe this urban legend, it's ghosts. It's not difficult to see how some people may have come to this conclusion. The signs are supposed to specify what the danger is, so you can avoid it. If it says, beware ice, you can drive more slowly. If it says, steep slope, you can prepare yourself for a sudden uphill drive. But if the sign is empty, or just says, warning, what am I supposed to be wary of? Japan has a long and rich history of yurei, so it doesn't take much of a push to think that might be the reason why. Rumors of these signs are particularly prevalent around Aoyama Cemetery in Tokyo. Numerous urban legends exist regarding this area, but this one states that these signs mysteriously appear and disappear throughout the park. If you happen to run into one, you might need to get out of there right away, because it means dangerous ghosts are nearby. Never fear, however. There is an easier and less haunted answer at hand. The reason these signs without warnings exist is very simple. The warnings are too long. Sometimes there might be a lot of trees growing by the side of the road that jut out at dangerous angles, making it difficult to see around corners and, especially in the dark, playing tricks on people's minds. It's a little difficult to explain all that in just a few letters, and so they write nothing at all. They place a general warning sign, which means you should be extra careful about all of your surroundings after that point. Probably a good idea to always be wary of ghosts on Japanese roads though, just in case. But what did you guys think of this one? Are there any other legends, creatures, or ghosts you'd like me to explore? Let me know in the comments below, and if you'd like to help support this channel so you can see more content like this, please consider hitting that join button down below as well. Every bit of support really helps. Thanks guys, and I'll see you again next time.